to another team that is actually ruthlessly cold, which is Bayern Munich. They dealt with Julian Nagelsmann showing even a sign of weakness by dropping to second place in the Bundesliga by swiftly swinging the axe while he was on holiday. I think he found out through social media, which is just brutal, isn't it?
Nice.
I mean, Nagelsmann is a young coach still, and I think that was probably part of the problem from what I've heard, is that a lot of the players were a similar age to him. He was more like a big brother than a father figure to the team. But tactically, also he had a real reputation for rotating teams to suit the tactical occasion. At Bayern, you can't really do that because they're superstars. He ruffled a lot of feathers. And they've acted swiftly, haven't they? They noticed a slight downturn. They dropped to second in the league to Dortmund, as I say. They're playing them in the coming fortnight, aren't they, I believe? So, yeah, big move from Bayern Munich. And Thomas Tuchel's been announced in the same statement as they axed Nagelsmann. Ruthless, Miles.
It is very ruthless, particularly for a manager that they clearly had their eye on for a really long time in Nagelsmann. It was always a given that he was going to end up at Bayern at some point. And look at their Champions League run. They just knocked out PSG. They were really successful for there. And that's the level that Bayern really want to compete at. They have kind of been indifferent at times in the Bundesliga this season, to be fair. Okay, they've only just slipped to second, but that's because Union Berlin and Dortmund have also dropped points pretty freely this season. They probably would expect to be a lot further ahead in the league than they have had the opportunity to be. But it still feels like the only reason they've done this is because Tuchel was on the market and it looked like a couple of other clubs might sniff around him soon and they didn't want to miss their opportunity. It's a funny one because obviously Lewandowski go in the summer and they didn't really replace him with an out-and-out number 9. And then at times, it's kind of looked like they've missed a bit of a focal point in attack. They brought in João Cancelo in January, and then he hasn't really had the impact that you want him to. He's looked really good when they've played, and then he misses a load of games. So Bayern kind of seem like they're in a weird transition this season anyway, because moving past Lewandowski, Muller's getting older. They're having to reconsider what their defence looks like with De Ligt coming in and things like that. It's going to take a while for Bayern to really be Bayern in the way that they always have been, but they're still doing great, so it should be fine. But I don't know, it is ruthless, and he definitely made players better there, and he won't. I wouldn't be surprised if he ends up back there one day. I'll be totally honest.
I think he won't struggle to find the next job. It feels a bit like Tuchel when he left Dortmund. He walked straight into the PSG job, and I feel like Nagelsmann is still considered in that kind of high esteem. So I don't think he'll struggle. Probably not Tottenham, though. I think he'd suit Tottenham, but I think his stock's a bit higher than theirs at the minute.
I can't see him in England yet.
Really?
No, I don't think he will. I just don't know why he would want to.
I think so.
I think that there's a lot of other leagues in Europe where he would be able to kind of develop more, be given more of a time to kind of progress, because he is still young. I mean, how many members of this podcast are older than Julian Nagelsmann? I don't know. I know I'm not, but maybe. I don't know. I feel like if he went to England right now, I don't think that the way that the British game works and the way the British press works is going to be very complimentary to him. I think actually he would be better suited, like Tuchel, to wait for the PSG job, because that'll be up in the summer, definitely.
Yeah, that's true. I think Bayern have actually given themselves a good chance of success now, haven't they, in some ways, Dave? Tuchel going in at this stage of the season when they've got Man City on the horizon in a really crucial game. They're in the Cup still, and obviously they're only a point behind Dortmund, I believe, in the Bundesliga. Surely they're going to turn that back around, and they're playing them next. So Tuchel really could make a clean sweep here, Dave, couldn't he? Done that before.
Yeah, I think we spoke a few times about how he's had Man City's number on a few occasions as well. And you look at kind of how he sets his teams up and how he operates, it's probably the worst sort of possible opponent for Man City to have. And you look at the talent that team does already possess, it's probably the hardest game Man City could have in this competition. So it's going to be a really intriguing one, isn't it? I think to see what happens in that game, and it does feel a little bit like that, doesn't it? It did feel like they've been eyeing him up for a while, and obviously things haven't really improved massively with obviously Nagelsmann, and they've obviously pulled the trigger, and it's just crazy, isn't it? This game, how things change so quickly, and how the revolving door with managers now seems to be more chaotic than any other time.